Alright, today's reaction video is pretty straightforward. The title reads, Top 10 Foreign Celebrities Who Insulted Filipinos. Disgusting. Who are these 10 foreign celebrities and why in the world would they insult the Philippines and Filipinos? I want to know that. If you are new to the channel, welcome! Maligayang pagbabalik sa aking channel! My name is Ovela. I'm a sound engineer, beatmaker, and content creator on YouTube. And with that being said, let's see if these insults are warranted. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Let's get to it.
I recently came across a disturbing video of foreigners disrespecting Filipinos and the Philippines. So, I did an extensive research on why foreigners look down on Filipinos. In other words, why foreigners think Filipinos are inferior to them.
See, this is pretty new to me. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to react to this video, because I have never seen or heard a celebrity or a foreigner in general insult Filipinos, except for those African American women who were upset that their men were, leaving to the Philippines to find wives, That's it.
Said this many times, but I'll say it
The
again.
passport bros
Filipinos are
situation.
one of the most hospitable people on the planet, and this hospitality is rooted in the empathic Filipino culture. Most Filipinos are humble and respectful. I could not understand why they're being looked down on. Foreigners who visited the Philippines would attest to that.
It's really nice. We really love the people. They're always smiling.
Oh, life's great here. The weather's great. People are all so cool and nice, and yeah, I love it. It's just a great place, yeah. Well, I've only been here for a couple of weeks, but so far I love it. The people are amazing. They're friendly. Everything's convenient. And so far, everything's been really good. It's been what I expected. It's been hoped for.
Nature is amazing, and people are very humble.
I love it. People are super, super kind. We came here 3 years ago for the first time, and we just couldn't wait to come back. It's just beautiful nature, lovely people, super helpful, super easy to communicate with because so many people speak English.
Filipinos who travel abroad usually...
And the proof is in with those foreigners who decide to travel to the Philippines to just visit the Philippines, right? For a few days, perhaps a few weeks, and end up staying in the Philippines for months, maybe even years. I mean, isn't there like that Canadian from Montreal as well, Luis Porteles, right? I think that dude went to visit the Philippines and then decided to stay in the Philippines for so many months. That is just proof that Filipinos and the Philippines is such a welcoming country, where you feel comfortable. And I know for certain that that's going to be my experience in May 2024. There are a lot of you that contact me that try to lower my expectations. They are afraid that my expectations for the Philippines are too high. Do not bother. My expectations are right where they need to be, okay? Because I've been informing myself. I've been reacting to so many Filipino content. I've been in contact with Filipinos, whether it be via social media or even in real life. So I know exactly what to expect, and I think everything is going to be just great. But thank you.
Focus on their job. They contribute to the economy of their host country. But in spite of all of that, they're still looked down on and mocked by foreigners of all nationalities.
Well, show
whether
us.
Europeans or Asians. Why? It's worth reading a few comments from Asians and other foreigners regarding Filipinos being looked down on.
He keeps saying that Filipinos are being looked down on, but so far he hasn't given us any examples.
I'm going to read a few comments and
Okay.
then provide my own insights. The comments will help you better understand why foreigners mock Filipinos. The first comment is from Yang Yi. He's a Singaporean, I believe. He writes, "You're probably thinking of Singapore and Hong Kong in terms of Asia. One is a tiny island and the other is a territory in China. Most of Asia does not hold Philippines in any form of consideration at all, good or bad. Singaporeans and Hong Kongers are unfortunately overly status-driven, competitive people.
Okay.
Part of it because we're the runs of the pack, constantly bullied and suffering from small man syndrome. Actually, there are also quite a few Middle Eastern countries who also looks down on Filipinos. In places like Hong Kong and Singapore, where the economies are doing well, many people tend to focus a lot on showing off their success. This means they often try hard to look rich and successful. They might care a lot about having things that show off their high status, like fancy cars or expensive clothes. They build their image around the idea
And that's not
that they
life.
live in a wealthy
That's just
country.
not life.
This happens because being successful and having a good image are important in these places, where the economy is strong. Some people in other Asian countries might not think highly of the Philippines because it's not a wealthy country. It's not as wealthy as those countries. People often associate a nation.
You know, the looks and money and stuff is just fluff. It's just that. It's just stuff. When you remove all that, what stays really in the end, you know? It's education, traditions, culture, education, and the heart of a person. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, money is something that we need because that's how society was built. Society was built around money. But if you think about it, if society was built differently, we wouldn't even need it, and we wouldn't even feel the need to show off that we have money, and we would focus on things that are more important, like kindness and togetherness. And I feel like those are traits that Filipinos have and understood.
Nation's wealth with its value. But it's important to remember that every country has unique strengths beyond just money, like culture, traditions, and kindness.
That's exactly what I just said.
In some Middle Eastern countries, some people might not think very highly of the Philippines because the Philippines is not as rich as those Middle Eastern countries.
I have never
People
stepped
often
foot
link
in
a country's value
Dubai,
with its wealth.
and I'm not even
It's
interested.
worth mentioning that I stayed in Dubai for a month, and it was a horrible experience.
There
I
you
did
go.
not enjoy my 1 month stay in Dubai.
Why? What are the
It
reasons?
felt dull and boring.
Yeah,
with
there
all
you
the tall
go.
buildings
Yeah.
everywhere, and no
It's fake.
nature around.
It's
No
fake.
trace of nature around. Everything seemed to be brought in from other countries.
Yeah.
They don't grow vegetables in Dubai because it's a desert.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to feel bored in the Philippines. There are so many things you can do. Even just sitting on a bench in a park and watching people live their lives can be an interesting activity. The Philippines
So far, I'm enjoying the video, but the title of the video says Top Foreign Celebrities Who Insulted Filipinos. And so far, he hasn't even spoken about what he mentioned in the title. And that to me feels like clickbait. You know, it bothers me. At least start with that, and then you can talk about something else in the middle and perhaps finish with that. So, intro and outro. But come on, man.
is lucky to have a lot of natural resources. You
Yeah.
can easily grow your own vegetables in your garden
Yeah.
because the country
A
is
lot of
suitable for
Filipinos
it.
do that.
Almost all types of vegetables are cultivated in the Philippines, and you can find a variety of them in any market. That's not the case for Middle Eastern countries. Someone else writes, Yes, it's because Filipinos now typically work as blue-collar workers, janitors, domestic helpers, low-level overseers, and managers throughout Asia, from the Middle East to Japan. Note that there isn't anything bad with their job descriptions. Since Asians are status-oriented, many Asian countries, especially East Asia and Southeast Asian countries, look down on Filipinos. While shopping in Hong Kong, the mere mention of you being from the Philippines would result to immediate snobbery. Due to corruption, people of the Philippines are left with no other option but to travel overseas to find better job opportunities because they have families to take care of. Also, because of financial problems, some Filipinos are forced to drop out of college.
OFWs,
So,
overseas Filipino workers, I
their
think.
job opportunities are limited to blue-collar jobs like domestic helpers. Corruption is a big issue in the Philippines because Filipinos are naturally forgiving and resourceful.
Corruption is a
Rather
big
than
issue
protesting
in
for change,
developing countries
many
in general.
Filipinos focus on finding ways to earn a living. Now let's talk about the top 10 foreigners who disrespect
There we
the
go,
Philippines and its
finally.
people.
Okay.
1. Daniel Brown. He's an American author. He wrote a novel titled Inferno. Includes a character who describes Manila as a city of horrible traffic jams, suffocating pollution, massive poverty, and a thriving child sex trade. He describes Manila as the gates of hell in his novel.
That's harsh.
This comment is a
I
reflection.
mean, how he described so Manila, it's true, but that's not all there is to Manila, you know. But how that phrase that he used to describe Manila or the Philippines is very harsh. But it's true, those things that he mentioned do exist in the Philippines. But I've never heard of this writer.
Of how Westerners generally view non-Western countries. But why did he choose Manila? Why not New York or Philadelphia? There are states in America that are much worse than Manila. Some states in America are literally the perfect representation of hell. Mass shooting, homelessness, gangs, and
We need the context of why he said that about Manila. You know, why did he choose Manila as an example? What is the book really about, or that chapter, you know?
so on.
We can't judge his book or what
Why
he
did
said just
choose
like
Manila?
that.
Because of American exceptionalism. It's deeply ingrained in the culture, meaning we don't see what's wrong with us because we are special. Instead, we pay attention to what's wrong with other countries.
Oh no, the US is
usually
messed up.
non-Western countries. Number 2, Lida Hai. She's a Korean-Australian actress.
Stay, so can I have a glass of water, please? Thank you. Excuse me, I'm a little bit thirsty, so can I have a glass of water? I'm a little bit thirsty, so can I have a glass of water, please?
The reason she mocked Filipino accent is not because there is something wrong with the accent itself. No, it's because of the stereotype that the Philippines is a poor country. Remember, all of the stereotypes associated with the Philippines and its people are rooted in economic disparities. If the Philippines
Personally, I love the Filipino accent. I really do. From the get-go, I remember when, my co-host was still doing reaction videos with me and we started reacting to Filipino content. I think we had a discussion, a conversation about the accent, the Filipino accent. And, she wasn't very fond of it, but I remember telling her that I really enjoyed it from the beginning.
was as rich as, say, Singapore, those stereotypes would not have existed. Also, the superficial Korean or Asian culture in general makes it easy for people to focus on superficial things like accent, skin color, and so on. Number 3, Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah, but see, unfortunately, even Filipinos care about those things, man. Skin color and their, natural facial features, and they try to change it. They bleach their skin. They try to look whiter, and they try to make their noses look thinner with surgery. And if they don't have the money for surgery, they're gonna put on tons of makeup, to make it look thinner and everything. So it's not just foreigners, unfortunately. Even Filipinos tend to look down on Filipinos, which is so sad.
The Canadian actor. On the David Letterman Late Show,
Yeah, I know this guy.
he described flying from Japan to the Philippines to start working on Oliver Stone's Savages. According to Kitch, he was stopped at customs for not having any pages left to stamp in his passport. He claimed that in customs everyone was smoking, and despite having a work visa, he was told he was being sent back to Japan. It turned out that Taylor has never been to the Philippines, and he was actually in Indonesia. Although the Philippines government demanded an official apology from the actor, he never really apologized. I know it's a little bit late.
Wait, so he mixed them up? Indonesia and the Philippines? Maybe it was an honest mistake. Honestly, I need this guy who made this video to actually show us the proof, like a video or the writing or something. Honestly, the examples that he's giving us are not that
Apologize now.
interesting.
But on behalf of all the good people of Canada, I apologize for the ignorance of Taylor. Number 4, Lucy Liu.
Oh, Lucy Liu.
She appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman. When Letterman asked Liu if she enjoyed running indoors or outdoors, she replied, "I run in a machine. It's easier for me. Also, if I get really dark, I'll start to look a little Filipino. It wouldn't match." Unfortunately, such a disgusting comment
What?
is no...
Do you feel insulted by this comment? I mean, it's a fact. Filipinos are Asians who are darker, if you will, than the other Asians, right? I'm not Filipino, but if I were a Filipino, I don't think that I would be offended by this. She is stating a fact. Yes, don't get me wrong. There are Filipinos that are very white, Filipinos that are very dark, some brown, some many shades, right? But I think that a good portion of them are dark, and which is beautiful, which is great. So what she said, unless she followed that by an insult, I don't see it as her looking down on Filipinos, She just chose Filipino as an example because, yeah, they tend to be dark Asians, Don't they call them like the blacks of Asia? Not in a derogatory way, but like they are cool. Like African Americans, to me, they're super cool. They know how to sing, they know how to dance, they are smart, they're awesome. So I don't know.
Surprise, considering how we have been conditioned for decades through mass media, movies, social media, and so on, that light skin is more attractive than dark skin. Since mass media, especially Hollywood movies, is controlled by filthy-rich white elites who think they're better than the rest of humanity, especially brown people, they reflect this ideology. They reflect it in their movies. Number 5, Terry Hatcher.
Okay, now that I think about it, maybe it is a little bit insulting. So she's saying that she'd rather run at home on her treadmill because if she goes outside, she will tan and look like a Filipino, and she does not like that. So she's basically saying that if her skin is dark, it's ugly. Okay, yeah, that could be absolutely seen as an insult. So that is not cool, Lucy Liu. Definitely not cool if you think about it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
She's an American actress and singer. The offending comment came when Susan Mayer, played by Terry Hatcher, throws a fit at her gynecologist and questions his credentials. because he suggests she's going through the early stages of menopause. Can I check those diplomas, she says? Because I want to make sure they're not from some med school in the Philippines.
Before going further, can I
Oh.
check those diplomas? Because I would just like to make sure that they're not from some med school in the Philippines.
Although Hatcher
Okay, so that was in a freaking show. Oh, she did not write that, right? It's the writers. You gotta be mad at the writers, not her. But yeah, that is definitely derogatory. That is an insult to the Philippines.
was simply playing a role in a
There
movie.
you go.
Again, like I said before,
Mm-hmm.
her comment is a reflection of how Westerners generally view non-Western countries. Institutions like schools are automatically perceived
Okay, I'm
as
sorry. So you cannot include her in the 10 foreign celebrities who insulted the Philippines, because she's not the one who insulted the Philippines, it's the writers.
inferior to Western institutions, regardless of the quality of education. For example, we all know that the education system in the Philippines is similar to that of America, and the quality of education in some schools
Oh
here
yeah, Filipino
is at
universities are
par
great.
with American schools. But that doesn't matter. Why? Because they associate Philippines with low standards. Number 6. Alec Baldwin. He's an American actor, comedian, and producer. He appeared on David Letterman's show and said during an interview that he was contemplating paying for a Filipino mail order bride to father more children. I really don't know what to say. Such a sick mentality is a manifestation of a sick society.
What did he just say? I did not catch that, really. Like, I did not understand what he said. I feel like he did not pronounce things properly.
Such a level of ignorance is a byproduct of decades of deliberate brainwashing. Number 7. James Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
He's an American television host, comedian, writer, and producer. He insulted President Duterte by calling him lunatic. If you truly understand the concept of American exceptionalism, meaning
Okay, I'm laughing because Duterte was seen outside of the Philippines as, let's just say, a strong president who did not do things in a conventional way. Okay, I'm trying to put things nicely. Whose fault is that? It's the fault of the media, okay? And Jimmy Kimmel, his job is to make fun of things, okay? He's technically a comedian, so you can't really take whatever he says seriously or personally. And I'm not trying to defend him. And before I started reacting to some Duterte videos and speeches, and honestly a little bit of Filipino politics, that's the idea that I had, right? Because if you do just a little bit of research, that's what you're gonna find about Duterte. But as I started reacting to him, I learned a lot more about Duterte and saw that he was actually a pretty decent president that loves his people and did some good, during his presidency. So, yeah.
special. So we don't make mistakes. We don't look at our crimes because we are special. Then everything will start to become clear. No one will be defensive, and you'll see the bigger picture. Number 8.
Whoosh.
Claire Danes. She's an American actress. Danes was in Manila for several months to shoot scenes for the movie Broke Down Palace. In her interview, Danes described Manila as a ghastly and weird city. Similar to the comment that the American author made about Manila, they can't see what's wrong with, say, New York, because it's not in the Philippines. It's a city in a so-called...
It sounds like a woman who went there to do a job. She did not really experience the Philippines. And when I say experience the Philippines, I'm not just saying going out just in the fancy places and hanging out with your circle of people. No, it's going out there and interacting with Filipinos. Try to understand their traditions and cultures. That's how it sounds like to me.
first world.
But then again,
Although some areas in New York are far worse than the worst areas in Manila, far worse than, say, Tondo. I lived in New York for a year, and I visited Manila a few times. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Number 9, Jay Leno. He's an American comedian. He insulted Filipinos by saying, "Hundreds of barefoot Filipinos march on the roads through the Philippines, carrying heavy wooden crosses and whipping their backs until they bled to prepare for Easter. Called me old-fashioned, but I just like coloring the eggs." He made several remarks about Asians, but what else can we expect?
so is he saying that the suffering of Filipinos doing all that is warranted just for him to get his eggs or whatever, you know? Like
Number
it
10,
justifies
Howard
their
Stern.
pain?
He's an American radio host. He made several remarks about Asians. He characterized the Philippines as a country where fathers sell their own daughters for sex. Stereotypes about the Philippines and its people will never change,
Nonsense.
will never go away,
Nonsense.
as long as the economy of the Philippines remain the way it is today. This country and its people have a lot of potential, and is destined to become a great nation. Finally, we will never make progress as one human race, as long as we're distracted by superficial things like skin color, nationality, and so on. So, what do they all have in common? Why do you think they made such disgusting comments? Who or what is to blame for making such disgusting comments?
It's interesting, but I feel like the examples that he chose were not that precise and maybe taken out of context. Some of them, yes, were insulting. I don't know. But the bottom line is that if those were indeed insults, you know, and meant to be insults, like direct insults to the Philippines, then that's disgusting, true, and just flat wrong, except for the facts. Like the first example that he stated, you know, that he gave us about the writer who said that, you know, in Manila, there are some parts of Manila that are very poor and sad, and that the traffic is you know, is rough. I mean, you guys contact me to tell me about the traffic, you know, that it's not the best in the world. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I enjoy reacting to these types of videos. It's just a nice change of pace for me, you know. Sometimes I like to not turn off my brain, but not think about music and analyze music or singing. But yes, honestly, I just hope that Bongbong Marcos is going to be able to add to the Philippines, you know, make things better for Filipinos. I'm crossing my fingers, seriously. There you go. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on this video. Do you agree with the guy that made the video? Yeah, tell me everything. Maraming salamat po. And of course, if you found value in this video, do not hesitate to check out my other reaction videos right here.